This is part 3 of module 2 for MAT0028. We're starting off with the formulas you do need to have memorized for the test. The first one being distance equals rate times time. Perimeter, again, understanding that that means you're walking around the object, so you're adding the sides, which means single units. So I've written down what it is for rectangle and triangle. Area, again, is the amount of surface of the region. So these will be squared units because we're multiplying length times width for the rectangle. For the triangle, it's half the base times the height. Be careful and remember that. And then the last one is the sum of the angles inside a triangle will always add up to 180 degrees. So let's start with number 14. I always think it's a good idea if you can draw a picture first. We have a 40-inch board. It's cut into 3 pieces so that the second piece is, which is a key word, twice as long as the first piece, and the third piece is 5 times as long as the first piece. So if you can draw a picture where you can label it, we have 3 pieces, and the total is 40 inches. The second piece is twice as long as the first, which means 2x, when our first is x. The third piece is, which means equals, 5 times as long as the first, which means 5x. Again, if you think about this board, we're dividing it into 3 pieces, so the total when we add them together should be the 40 inches. So x plus 2x plus 5x equals 40 inches. At this point now we're going to collect like terms. So I have 1 plus 2, which is 3, plus 5, which is 8. So I have 8x equals 40. Divide both sides by 8, and that gives me 5. By labeling this down, it makes it super easy to see what we just found. My goal for this problem is to find all of the lengths. X is the length of the first, which is 5 inches. Second one is 2 times 5, so that's 10 inches. The third one is 5 times 5, which is 25 inches. Double check, those should add up to 40 inches, which they do. Make sure you're clear on your units as well. Reading number 15, and at any time, again, pause this, try to work it out yourself, and then listen. So key in this problem is they give you a key word, isosceles. And isosceles means that we have a triangle where 2 angles are congruent, which means they have the same measure, and that corresponds to 2 sides are congruent, which mean they have the same measure. So if it helps, you can always draw a picture out. These 2 are equal. So we're talking in this case about the angle measurements. So these 2 isosceles will match. The third angle is 20 more, which means add. 20 more than twice the other 2. So this third angle right here is 20 more than twice the other 2. Key is that you need to understand that the sum of the angles is 180 degrees. So x plus x, which is the first 2 angles on the bottom, plus the third angle, which is 2x plus 20, equals 180 degrees. 1 plus 1 gives me 2x, plus 2 gives me 4x. I'm solving for x, so I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. That gives me 4x equals 160. My last step here is to divide the 160 by 4 to divide both sides. That's going to give me x equals 40. Again, because we drew our picture, it's super easy to look at and see what I have. My isosceles angles are 40 degrees. My third angle, I multiply 40 times 2, which is 80, and add 20, which gives me 100 degrees. So I did 2 times 40, which was the 80, and I added the 20, which gave me the 100 degrees. those should add up to 180 as my double check. Going to number 16, we have a perimeter problem. I'm going to do this slightly different than she does. I actually think it's easier to look at your picture and start off. We have lengths and we have widths. The perimeter, which is the whole distance around, is 268 feet. They give us that. The length is, which means equals, 34 feet longer than the width. So that is W plus 34. So the length on the bottom is the same piece, W plus 34. So I'm literally going to walk around. So I, again, am doing this slightly different than she does. I think sometimes you get confused by using a formula. So I'm literally going to walk around. So I'm going to walk on the bottom piece, W plus 34, walk up the right piece, which gives me plus W, walk across the top, which gives me another W plus 34, and then walk down the left-hand side, which gives me a W. That perimeter is 268. Now, when y'all listen to the videos that she does, they'll have 2L plus 2W. So I want you to stop and see what I wrote in blue, W plus 34, and green, W plus 34. That's where the 2L comes from, and the 2W comes from the purple and the red. It's just saying when we walk around, you will always get two lengths, and you will always get two widths. But I think that sometimes it's confusing, so I think it's actually helpful just to walk around, and we're going to now add them together. So I have 1W, 2W, 3W, 4W. So I have 4W, I have a 34 plus a 34, which gives me 68. Subtract the 68 from both sides, because remember I'm solving for W. So I get 4W equals 200. My last step is going to be to divide 200 by 4, which gives me 50. This is why I actually, for perimeter problems, like to use L's and W's, because I'm not confused at all with what I just got. My width, which is what I just solved for, is 50 feet. And the units over here are a perimeter. My length says add 34, so it should be 84 feet. Could you use 2L plus 2W equals P? Absolutely. It's exactly the same thing. Going to our last word problem, we have a triangular flower bed. We have, again, notice the word here in this problem, and please read the whole thing, is a perimeter. So we are walking around the outside. Perimeter is 102 feet. And if we have a triangle, we have 3 sides. So one side is twice the length of the shortest side. So I'm going to just call my first side my shortest side. So one side is twice the length of the shortest. So if I call my shortest side X, then I'm going to have 2X be my second side. The third side is, which means equals, 30 feet more. More means add it. 30 feet more than the shortest side, which means X plus 30. This is key, making sure you understand what's given to you and translating it. So we add up, because that's what a perimeter means. It means walk around. So I have X for my shortest side, plus 2X, plus the X plus 30, which is my 3 sides. The sum should be 102. So again, I'm going to add these up. I get 1 plus 2, which is 3, plus another one, which gives me 4X plus 30 equals 102. I'm going to subtract the 30 from both sides. Remembering I'm solving for X. So when I subtract this, I'm going to get 2. In this case, I'm going to get 72. So I'm going to divide 72 by 4. Again, you have a calculator, but you can divide this into it. 4 goes into 7 one time with 3 left over. 4 goes into 32 18 times. Super easy if we have labeled, and that's why it's really important on word problems to always label. X is my shortest side. which is 18 feet. My second side is 2 times x, which is 2 times 18, which is 36 feet. The third side is x plus 30, so 18 plus 30 will give me 48 feet. Double check, those should all add up to 102.